Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Drew Cain remained unmoving in a dimly lit, antiseptic private room at General Hospital, his body a prison of his own choosing. The once vibrant congressman, a man of activity and ambition, was now in what doctors referred to as locked-in syndrome, a cruel twist in which his mind remained keen, his awareness intact, but his muscles refused to cooperate. He could only survive by blinking. Each slow shutting of his eyes conveyed the weight of unheard screaming. Willow Cain, his wife, sat beside the bed, her nurse's scrubs clean and professional, her face a mask of concerned love that deceived almost everyone in Port Charles. Willow rested her palm lightly on Drew's arm, her touch deceptively mild. "You know, Drew," she whispered, her voice soft enough for only he to hear, "I never thought it would come to this. You push me too far. You always do." Her eyes, once filled with the innocence that defined her as a young mother and nurse, now held a darkness born of betrayal and desperation. She had shot him in the back months before, in a fit of wrath, when his secrets threatened to unravel all she valued, her children, her image, and her tenuous hold on the life she'd constructed after so many losses. The trial had been a spectacle. Willow was accused of attempted murder, but the evidence was altered just enough by shady allies and her own controlled tears, resulting in an acquittal. The jurors perceived a loved wife as a victim of circumstance, rather than a woman capable of pulling the trigger. Drew attempted to testify, but his frail state rendered his statements halting and unreliable in the eyes of the court. Willow had increased her control now that she was no longer facing legal ramifications. She gave Drew an undetectable and terrible paralytic medicine, transforming his recuperation into a nightmare of paralysis. It simulated a stroke, keeping him mute and dependent while she served as a caring caregiver. Drew's thoughts raced as he glanced at the ceiling. He remembered the night it all started, the confrontation at their house, Willow's accusations flying like daggers. He had learned her secrets, her manipulations of their family, and her relationships with dangerous persons such as Sidwell, who had given the medication that was now racing through his veins. Drew confronted her in that heated moment, and Willow grabbed the revolver when she felt cornered. 2 shots at the back. The pain had been excruciating, but the real agony came later, when he awoke unable to move or speak, while Willow leaned over him and confessed with chilling calm, "It was me. I'm the one who shot you." Now, days after the verdict, Willow visits daily, adjusting his IVs and monitoring his vitals, all in the name of spousal care. The hospital personnel praised her dedication. Elizabeth Baldwin, Drew's committed nurse who had become skeptical of his lack of improvement, frequently checked in, but Willow's explanations, stress, problems from the shooting, seemed convincing. Scout, Drew's small daughter, had begun to hover nearby, her innocent eyes catching glimpses that made Willow's stomach churn with anxiety. Scout had seen her stepmother use a syringe once, but she didn't quite understand. That youngster could hold the key to everything unraveling. Willow leaned closer, her breath warm against Drew's eardrum. "You hate me now, don't you? I can see it in your eyes when you blink. But think about it, Drew. I gave you a choice once, and you chose wrong. You chose to expose me, to tear apart our family for your political ambitions or whatever noble quest you were on. Now I'm giving you another choice. Life or death. But it's not just yours. It's tied to everything else." Drew blinked rapidly, 3 times for yes, 2 for no, a code he desperately tried to establish with anyone Willow, on the other hand, either disregarded or feigned not to notice. She recognized the indications since she had researched locked-in situations during her nursing shifts. "Sure," she said softly, like if comforting a child. "Don't waste your energy. Listen instead." She stood and paced the small room, her footfall echoing faintly. Outside, the hospital swarmed with doctors consulting, family visiting, and the steady hum of life-saving machines. But inside, it seemed like a mausoleum. Willow had isolated Drew as much as possible, explaining that he required rest and minimum stimulation. Her co-conspirator, the elusive Sidwell, had provided the paralytic and dosage instructions. Drew was also a liability to him, as his investigations into Port Charles's underworld jeopardized their mutual interests. Willow had made a deal in the shadows. Keep Drew quiet, and Sidwell would protect her freedom. Here's the deal, Willow said, her tone ranging from tender to frigid. You can live, Drew. I can ease up on the drugs, let you start recovering. Physical therapy, speech exercises, the works. You'll walk again, talk again. Maybe even return to Congress. But in exchange, you stay silent. No accusations, no revenge. You tell the world it was an accident, a break-in gone wrong. You forgive me publicly. We rebuild as a family for the kids' sake. Michael's children, our blended mess, deserve stability, not another scandal. Drew's eyes widened. Forgiveness? After paralyzing him, she toyed with his life like a cat with a mouse. He blinked furiously. No, no, no. Willow smiled sadly, as if reading his mind. Or death. I can make it look natural. Another stroke, a complication no one questions. You're already so fragile. The autopsy would show nothing suspicious if I do it right. I'd mourn you beautifully, the tragic widow. Nina would comfort me, my mother, finally on my side after all these years of tension. The Quartermains would rally around the family, and I'd be free. No more looking over my shoulder, wondering when you'd expose every lie I've told to protect Miss Willow's path to this point has been a spiral. She had lost so much, including her biological ties and sense of self, while being a cancer survivor and dedicated mother to Wiley and Amelia. Meeting Drew had seemed like a new beginning, a powerful man who recognized her strength. But power corroded, and Drew's secrets, his agreements, hidden intentions involving Sonny Corinthos' world, and political maneuvering, had clashed with Willow's need for control. She shot him to quell the threat, then doubled down as the trial approached. Port Charles whispered about them. Carly Corinthos, Drew's ex and Willow's constant rival, suspected foul play but couldn't prove it. Jason Morgan, the ever-present protector, had paid Willow a visit once, his austere expression covering worry, but she had diverted with tears. Willow's mother, Nina Reeves, addressed daughter when the shooting confession surfaced in parts. How could you? Nina shouted, but Willow interpreted it as self-defense, a moment of madness after years of exploitation. Willow issued the ultimate ultimatum. You have until the end of the week, Drew. Blink once for life on my terms. Twice for, well, you know. If you refuse to choose, I'll decide for you. I've come too far to let you destroy me now. Drew's mind filled with recollections. Their hasty and emotional wedding was intended to convey unity during the trial. Willow had grinned for the cameras as she injected him later that night. Scout laughed in the halls, unaware at first. Tracy and his family discussed his health quietly at the Quartermain house. Willow's ex-partner and father of her children, Michael Corinthos, had grown aloof, recognizing the cracks but unsure how deep they ran. Outside the room, Elizabeth Baldwin analyzed Drew's most recent scans. Something didn't match up. The evolution of his paralysis showed that it was caused by something other than the shooting. She confided in her coworker Finn, who raised an eyebrow. Willow's been hands-on with his care. Maybe too hands-on. Scout stood nearby, clutching a sketch she'd created for her father. A stick-figure family with a large heart. Is Daddy going to wake up soon? She asked Elizabeth, who smiled reassuringly, but felt a chill. Willow stepped out of the room, composing herself. He's stable, but he's fighting. I can feel it. Her performance was Oscar-worthy. But inside, panic was simmering. What if Scout saw more than she let on? What if Drew managed to signal someone by blinking an SOS in Morse code during a visit from Chase or Brooklyn? The dangers increased. Willow arrived that evening as the sun set over Port Charles, sending long shadows through the hospital windows. She had a fresh syringe in her pocket. Time for your meds, honey, she lovingly told Drew. He blinked twice quickly. Was he dead? No, it's a protest. She paused, her hand quivering slightly. Was she truly capable of stopping it? The lady who had previously saved lives as a nurse was now considering taking one. Flashback to the shooting. Willow in their living room, gun in hand, Drew turning away, disgusted by her new deception. "You chose this," she growled before opening fire. Now the decision is reversed. Drew's eyes implored, expressing a lifetime of regret and resistance. He did not desire her way of life, a puppet lifestyle under her control, but death. This meant abandoning Scout, leaving his legacy to Willow's story. The hospital corridors were packed with familiar faces. Sonny Corinthos paid Willow a brief visit, but his mob affiliations made him dubious of her story. "If there's anything off here, Drew, we'll find out," he mumbled, but Drew could only blink in response. Alexis Davis, Willow's lawyer who had secured the acquittal, felt lingering guilt. She was aware that the case had flaws, but professional ethics and family loyalty compounded matters. Willow's mental monologue dissolved while she sat vigil. She defended her conduct by claiming Drew had indirectly blackmailed her, threatened custody battles, and exposed her vulnerabilities. She was shielding her children from a father figure who placed power over family. But doubt crept in. Was she becoming the villain everyone had warned her about? Her decline had begun gradually, small falsehoods to Nina, relationships with the wrong people, and the shooting as a tipping point. Holding Drew's life in her hands, she felt both godlike and scared. Days blurred. Willow increased the strain, whispering threats and promises alternately. "Remember our vows? In sickness and health. This is sickness, Drew. I can make it better." She brought flowers, played soft music, and performed for anyone who watched. But privately, she went over the options again. Agree and live as her shadow spouse, or oppose and face the last injection. Scout's presence became threatening to Willow's goal. The girl crept into the room one afternoon when Willow was out getting coffee. Scout said, "Daddy, I know something's wrong," while grasping Drew's hand. Drew blinked desperately, 3 short, 3 lengthy, and 3 short eye motions. Scout frowned, observing the pattern. "Is that like a code? Like in the movies?" She rushed to locate Elizabeth, her small voice echoing. "Nurse Liz, Daddy's trying to tell me something." Willow returned just in time to intercept, her heart racing. "Sweetie, Daddy's tired. Let's not bother him." However, the seed was planted. Elizabeth then studied security footage subtly, her suspicions intensifying. Finn proposed toxicological assays that went beyond the normal methods. Willow found herself surrounded by barriers. Willow broke down little when Nina confronted her in a secluded area, piecing together parts of their earlier conversation. "He forced my hand, Mom. He was going to ruin us all." Nina, torn between mother love and terror, begged her daughter to stop. "This isn't you, Willow. Let him go. Get help." But Willow saw only betrayal everywhere. The climax intensified as Drew's condition deteriorated. Willow prepared the final dose with her hands steady despite the storm inside. "Last chance, Drew. Life with me or death alone." His eyes fastened on hers, blinking once, slowly and deliberately. Life? On her terms? No, that was a feint. He blinked again, indicating hope to all watching. In that frozen instant, the decision hung like a scalpel. Willow's finger hovered. Hospital alarms blared in the distance, signaling another emergency that was drawing workers away. Scout's voice cried out from the corridor. "Daddy." Footsteps approached. Elizabeth, possibly others. Willow let out tears as she dropped the syringe. Not mercy, but calculus. "There are too many eyes now," she said. "You won this round, but the game is not over." Instead, she adjusted his pillow with care. But the impact of her ultimatum persisted. Drew's life or death was more than simply physical. It represented the spirit of their twisted relationship. Poor Charles remained unaware of the full extent of the fighting. Michael recognized the schism and planned a custody push. Jason investigated quietly. The Quartermaines formed a protective circle. Willow exited the room, her thoughts racing with fresh strategies, more medications, improved isolation, and, if necessary, silencing Scout. But, deep down, the decision she placed on Drew matched her own: stay in the darkness or find a way back to the light. For the time being, there was no light. As night fell, Drew lay awake in his mind, plotting blinks and hoping for the next guest who may understand. Willow grasped her phone in the shadows of the hospital parking lot, texting Sidwell. He's choosing life. For now. The game went on, a life-or-death chess match in which love had long since died and been replaced by survival. Willow and Drew's adventure in Port Charles was far from over. Families were shattered, secrets festered, and one paralyzed man had the power to destabilize empires if he could just make someone see his blinks. Willow's power had forced the decision, but the implications would reverberate across General Hospital, affecting every existence in the twisted web, from the Corinthos clan to the Quartermaines, from innocent toddlers to hardened mobsters. Willow returned home to Wiley and Amelia during the peaceful hours, tucking them in with stories about their brave father's fight for recovery. Lie atop lie. Drew, alone, replayed every moment that had led up to this point. The affair, the political campaigns, and the family mergers. He vowed softly that if he survived, vengeance would be sweet rather than violent. Willow feared exposure, justice, and the truth the most. But Willow had anticipated it. Her next move? Perhaps framing someone else, such as Kai or Trina, to shift blame. Or strengthening the connection with Sidwell to obtain more powerful suppressants. The hospital became her battleground, and her nursing abilities her weapon. Elizabeth, assembling together clues with Chase, prepares to face. Something's not right with Drew's care. The tension rose, like a powder keg. Willow returned to Drew's bedside the next morning, her eyes filled with newfound determination. Decide, Drew. Life as my partner in silence, or death as my cautionary tale. He blinked once, then twice, ambiguous, gaining time. The tale continued with each cardiac monitor beep, whispered threat, and innocent query from Scout. Port Charles, the city of secrets, held its breath. Willow had forced the life-or-death decision, but in doing so, she had caught herself in a web of her own creation. Would Drew be able to break free? Will Willow cross the finish line? Only time and cautious blinking will tell.